Terminating an employee is never easy. However, with the right training and preparation, any manager can learn how to handle this difficult task. During this training, I will cover a couple of sample scenarios in order to highlight what could go wrong when terminations are not handled well. I will follow the scenarios with a series of tips and techniques that can be utilized in any termination scenario. In this first scenario, let's imagine an employee was terminated. Here are a few facts. In this situation, the employee happened to be African American. After he was terminated, he filed a race-biased complaint against the company. The company stated that it was not racially motivated, but fired him for poor performance. Because of the termination, the employee sued. A major issue that emerged was the manager did not document the performance appropriately. This scenario presented raises several questions. One of the primary questions is, can I fire an employee? The short answer is yes, as long as you can prove it was not retaliation. There are several effective ways to prove that the termination was not done in retaliation. First, if you have a termination notice signed prior to the lawsuit. Second, there is clearly another reason, such as bad performance. In the second scenario, we have an employee that indicated they were going to retire soon. However, due to financial issues, she decided not to retire, but the company had already hired a younger person to replace her. Upset, she sued for age discrimination. In either of these scenarios, a few simple tips could have helped. A manager should always issue warnings, document behavior, warnings and actions taken, review written policies with new employees, and go to HR for help. Several laws protect employees. They cannot be fired for things such as their race, religion, gender, or age. Another reason you could terminate someone is because of disability. You must provide reasonable accommodations unless it causes undue hardship upon the company. With all legal protections, there are still a number of acceptable reasons to terminate an employee, and they include misconduct, fraud or dishonesty, neglected duties, and unsatisfactory performance. It is important to be prepared. Prior to the meeting, you should always rehearse what you will say. You should have a dedicated area set for the meeting. Keep in mind, don't have a debate with the employee. There are certain phrases you should avoid, such as, "How's the family? I'm sure you're surprised. I know how you feel. Let me know how I can help. Take all the time you need." Tips to remember during the meeting are, be respectful. Let the employee talk. Don't argue or get into a confrontation, and don't apologize. There are additional tips to keep in mind after the meeting. For instance, be aware of safety and security. Have an exit plan, notify appropriate parties such as IT, and treat the employee with dignity and respect. Be aware that any termination can have many effects on the company at large. A termination can lower morale, decrease productivity, and create fear and gossip. Prior to terminating an employee, understand that there may be other options. Managers and employees may be able to work together to correct the problem. Of all the tips we have learned today, the most important is proper documentation.